Welcome to the Africa-Caribbean Conversation series of the PJ Patterson Institute for Africa-Caribbean Advocacy. My name is Omar Ryan, the Communications and Outreach Coordinator at the PJ Patterson Institute for Africa-Caribbean Advocacy. Today, we are very honored to be joined by Professor Clinton Hutton, a distinguished scholar, political philosopher, cultural theorist, and professor of Caribbean political philosophy, culture, and aesthetics at the University of the West Indies Mona campus, where he taught for more than 3 decades. Professor Hutton is a distinguished fellow at the PJ Patterson Institute for Africa-Caribbean Advocacy. He is the recipient of the Order of Distinction in the Commander class from the Government of Jamaica. I must also mention that I'm a proud past student of Professor Clinton Hutton, so this moment is very special to me. Professor Hutton's pioneering work has deepened our understanding of African Caribbean thought, the Asian Revolution, Rastafari, spirituality, cultural identity, and the intellectual foundations of freedom, justice, and sovereignty in the Caribbean. His scholarship continues to illuminate the enduring connections between Africa and the Caribbean, and the role of culture in shaping political and social transformation. At present, Professor Hutton is the director of the Institute of the Technological and Educational Research at the Michael University College. He is a painter, photographer, and poet in addition to his outstanding academic work. His publications include the Marcus Garvey Pedagogy and the Power of Education that was just published, and my favorite of all, Color for Color, Skin for Skin, Marching with the Ancestral Spirits into War, at Morant Bay. And also others, including Leonard Percival Howell and the Genesis of Rastafari. Professor Hutton, thank you for joining us today. It is my utmost pleasure to welcome you to this conversation.
Yes, man. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, very, very special moment.
Good to have you talking to me, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
and as I said, I'm very proud of this moment because one of my most memorable moments as a student would have been as a student in your classes. I did 2 courses with you, the Garveyism in the Americas and one on the philosophical foundations of the Asian Revolution. And those 2 courses were very insightful and impactful. And up to today, we speak about those courses with my classmates from that time. So I know you have been one of the most impactful educators in my life. And first, I'm letting you know that.
Yeah.
Yes. Anyway, sir. What first inspired your journey to become a scholar of Caribbean history and culture?
Well, it goes back a long time, you know. When I was a little boy, my father had a bar. My father was born in 1893.
Wow.
And he had a bar. And his friends, elderly men in the community, about 6 or so of them, used to sit in the bar every night and talk about history. My father used to be in Cuba, about his travels to Cuba and his experience there. A lot of history about the Spanish Civil War, World War I and II. Talk about cricket. They talk about their adventure as young men. And so my history in general, came as a result of that. As a little boy, 5, 6, I used to sit under the counter of the bar and just listen to them. Right? So that piqued my interest. And I've always loved history. And then, of course, the history of the Caribbean developed on my own by me reading and so on about it. But it began as well as a result of my own growing up. Because I grew up in a culture in Jericho, in Hanover, in which traditional ideas, beliefs, and culture were quite pronounced around the issue of wake and funeral rituals. It's still very pronounced in my head. And music, traditional music, and the story about spirits, Duppy and rolling calf and all of those things were quite pronounced. And in fact, those were the early things that began to shape, allow me to begin to ask myself questions, even from then. And that put me on the road. So my research really began there.
Yes, yes.
That's it. That's the foundation.
The family and the community experience.
Right. Yes.
Okay. Well, that's a situation you find that most kids generally, there's always something in their family life or community that would have inspired them towards the journey that sometimes they normally take onto. So that's interesting. Your work is deeply interdisciplinary. You mix history with philosophy, art, religion, and culture. How did you develop this broad approach to academia?
Because I have a broad interest in all areas of study. I didn't go to a high school. I studied on my own.
Okay.
I read a lot. I was reading more than the average high school student. I read everything. Plus, my father had a small library.
Okay.
Right, and he used to subscribe to the newspaper of the day, and so I.
That's the Gleaner.
And yes, the Gleaner, and then we have a little library in the school, Jericho All Age School, and then a little library in the community, the parish library, supported by the parish library. So I was in these places all the time, right? So I read a lot. I did science on my own, history, geography, all of those things. So I have a broad thing. But there's wider than that though, and I've come to appreciate and learn more and studied more, is the fact that one of the ways in which we in the Caribbean, African Caribbean especially, and the African Americas generally, create stuff. It is based on pulling different traditions together. What we call mix up and blender.
Yeah, mix up and blend.
What we call kalaloo. What in the United States they call gumbo. Right? The way we create Jamaican music, for example, in the popular form, is to pull from those different traditions, both the traditional and popular forms, to create. And a number of our Caribbean, that's classical dub, dub music. In fact, that's the way Rastafari was created as well, to pull from different traditional spiritual forms.
Yes.
Right, with along with the trigger of the coronation of
Emperor Haile Selassie.
Right. So we have ways of creating, and if you listen to dub music, if you look at the painting and the styles of people like master artist Leroy Clark from Trinidad and Tobago, or Manuel Mendive from Cuba, and so on. Jazz music, it's really a combination that has, and they have a lot of extemporaneous activity in terms of the approach to creating these things. So in ring games, right, you have to show your motion. In dance, you have in the ring.
Yes.
There's
a spherical.
There's a time when each dancer is required to come in the middle of the ring and do something different from everybody else.
Yes.
Right. So it's a way of creating, and I'm also very big on the issue of studying and understanding creativity. as a subject matter in and of itself,
Yes, yes.
right? So all of these traditions actually shaped the way I approach research and writing
Yes, and
and teaching.
I can
Yes,
can tell that you're very passionate about it as well.
yes, yes,
For it to be a part of you, you embody
yes,
artistic expression that you use so much in
yes,
your work.
yes. I use my photography, I use my painting, I use my poetry, and other people
Yes.
poetry. So the poetic traditions of the
Yes.
Caribbean and some of its master poets, Kamal Brathwaite, Martin Carter, Robin the Brew, Nicholas Gain, all of these traditions, and the other traditions that would support such a way of oratory and oral expression and so on.
Such as the
So-
influence of the Indian culture.
All of those different traditions would have been very important. So masquerade tradition in Jamaica, it's called John Canoe. It's almost disappeared now.
Yes,
But
yes.
it's more pronounced. Masquerade is certainly quite pronounced in Trinidad and Tobago,
Yes.
but it is there in Cuba, Haiti, Martinique, Guadeloupe. So these traditions are there. And one of the things I actually try to do in my research, once there is any book on Caribbean languages, what Camo Brathwaite called nation language, I try to acquire them. It's one way of understanding myself, understanding the basis of my existence, because I'm highly rooted in ancestral ways
Yeah.
of understanding the world.
Cosmology.
Absolutely, and strongly feel that if I cannot speak for my ancestors, and not just familial ancestors, but African ancestry in general, if I can't speak for that, then I can't speak for myself
Yes.
and for the present.
Yes.
Right?
You said that there's something that came to mind. I recall in a class where you mentioned Bob Marley, where it said 400 years of slavery, when they said that Bob Marley was, the way he sang it was like he himself was in that slave ship for
Yeah,
400 years.
in
So
in
it
fact,
just bring me back to what you're saying right now.
yes. In fact, I do a lot of study and unearthing or excavating uh, African Caribbean philosophical tradition. And one of the things that I have found in traditional music and traditional visual expressions and traditional spirituality, voodoo,
Coming out.
revival, Shango or Orisha, and so on, spiritual Baptists. In a lot of these traditions, the idea of creativity is expressed in a way of drawing on these different threads. What Leroy Clark called fragments of a spiritual. That you seek to include all of these traditions in order to understand your existence, and in order to be able to articulate that and the meaning of these for freedom and identity, for sovereignty. These are very important.
Agency.
Absolutely. And that is why I'm also so that teaching and pedagogy, that these things are so important. Because I think one of the problems with our education system, of which I've been a part of from I was 16 years old, I've been teaching,
Okay.
right, is that we have not done enough. We're getting there, but I think I'm impatient. We are not doing enough to understand um, Caribbean pedagogical traditions. I'm not now talking about British or European
Our own knowledge systems and how we
episteme
teach.
or pedagogy. I'm talking about the one that would be reflected in a Marley song or the Whalers song at the time, written by Marley. The song, for example, Slave Driver. Every time I hear the crack of the whip,
Blood runs
my
cold.
blood runs cold. I remember on the slave ship how they brutalized our very soul. In other words, he's not distinguishing himself
From
as
his
separate
ancestors.
from his ancestors. And therefore, there's a part of our philosophical tradition which suggests that identity, that existence
Continuation.
is a continuation of, is not a break.
Yes.
And it's expressed in the way I sum it up is that I am my ancestors, and my ancestors are me.
Yes. Perfect.
Right, and it is in many of our songs,
Yes.
traditional and popular music, as in Catch a Fire, as in Redemption Song,
Yes.
as in Slavery Days by Burning Spear, or Poor Slave by Jimmy Cliff. They are all there. In other words, there are different ways in which we can understand and categorize different segments of our philosophical traditions and our philosophical existence to explain who we are, what we are, and to use it to shape us. The term you use, agency.
Yes. And our
education,
purpose.
of course. And education must, apart from allowing the students, I strongly believe this. One of the main goals of education is to help the student to become a sovereign learner,
Yes. Yes.
right? And secondly, that we must help the students to develop their agency, right? Or else we can become black skin, white heart,
Breadfruit.
rose breadfruit.
On that point,
Right.
the PJ Patterson Institute speaks of global Africa
Yes.
and strengthening Africa-Caribbean ties. What does the idea of global Africa mean to you, and how does it influence Caribbean identity?
It means everything to me. The existence of global Africa is important to people of African descent, African descent, but it's important to the world. And global Africa, not just meaning what exists now, because our journey did not begin with enslavement, right? We had thousands of years of existence prior to enslavement and colonial subjection.
Yes, yes.
What were those years? What did they give to humanity? What did they give to African peoples? And how should we relate to that in recording that, in teaching that? Because if we don't do that, we merely exist as a result of discovery,
Colonialism.
right? And we are much more than that.
Would have certainly cheated ourselves, because Africa is the oldest continent. As I say, it's a cradle of civilization.
Yes. It's that, and it's recorded history. It's recorded history and the contribution of Africans to the intellectual development of humanity, humanity's spiritual development, the creative development of humanity.
Yes, yes.
The scientific development of humanity. And all of this so expressed by Garvey as a Pan-Africanist, Marcus Garvey. But what you find in many of our scholars of old, Joel James, and so on. And I mean, We have another James from George James from Guyana, Stolen Legacy.
Yes, I was just mentioning that.
Right. So,
And the Nile Valley Civilization.
absolutely. But guess what? Our forebearers, even during slavery, never forget those things.
Never. Yes.
Right?
True.
And it is for us to unearth that,
Mm-hmm.
so that that those things become part of our text,
Mm-hmm.
and become a part of our pedagogy.
Yes.
Right? So we have established a formal tradition of that, but we have always had an informal tradition of learning. Jamaican music, for example, and African American music, and its many forms. They came as a result of an informal tradition, right? So, and that's one of the reasons, for example, I like to listen to our singers, our songwriters, and musicians talk about how they came to start what they are now known for, right? And I'm talking about the older generation and the youngest of the generation, because there's an informal pedagogical tradition in which, despite the formal, which quite often does not teach these things.
Yes, that's
but
true.
we are able to get these things. And I think from the informal, and I think that it is for the researcher, it is for the scholar, it is for the teacher to unearth those informal, what they learn from the informal, and to also take it to the formal.
I think so as well.
Yes, yeah,
Yes,
you know, and there's so much,
Yes.
to do that.
Because our culture is very deep and rich.
Absolutely.
And we have seen so many things continue from generation to generation, a lot of our folk culture.
Yes.
And you mentioned the musical part of it. That I know in my parish in St. Thomas with the Kumina.
Oh, that's one of the richest parishes.
Sometimes you have 5, 4, 6-year-olds beating the drum like they're 8-year-old, and you wonder why they're doing it.
Yes.
And it's that informal teaching, and sometimes it's genetic.
They didn't learn it at the school.
Yes.
Yeah. So I have gone to a lot of Kumina sessions in St. Thomas.
Yes.
My PhD dissertation was on the Morant Bay uprising of 1865.
Yes.
But primarily looking at the ideological foundation of the rise of that and the suppression as well.
Yes.
So I happened to travel a lot in St. Thomas, and because I wanted to know the cultural tradition, and spiritual traditions of St. Thomas, and Kumina in St. Thomas is really central to the cultural ethos of that parish.
Yes.
Right? And it spread from there by the revivalists across Jamaica.
Yes.
And shape Jamaican popular music. Right? With persons like Count Ozzy.
Yes.
Using Kumina and using Buru to create the Nyabingi drumming pattern.
And a lot of the festival songs on there.
All of those
Eric
things,
Donaldson and these people from back in the 70s coming up.
Right? And then St. Thomas was very important as well for what they call the Great Revival of 1860 and 61.
Okay.
In which the traditional African forms prior to those indentured laborers who were brought in 1841 from the Congo region.
Yes.
Of Africa, as indentured laborers.
And those are the people they say are responsible for Kumina, and also the foundation people that Leonard will spoke to when he went to St. Thomas after the coronation to found Rastafari.
Yes, in fact, the first music of Rastafari, there are two traditional music that shape Rastafari music. And it's revival. The first set of Rastafarians were followers of Alexander Bedouin.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. From August.
Right. But the geographical space that shaped Rastafari first and foremost is in St. Thomas,
Yes.
right? Because most of the organization of Leonard Percival Howell took place in St. Thomas.
Yes.
And then they were driven out of St. Thomas by the police, who also hired thugs to help them to do that.
Wow.
And was then that they bought Pinnacle.
Yes. In St.
Contrary to
Catherine.
anything that you have heard, they bought Pinnacle
I know.
and were able to settle there until the police destroyed Pinnacle in 1954.
Yes.
Right?
We are going into a lot. I just want to pause for us to recognize that today is actually the birth anniversary of Leonard Percival Howell. He would have been 128 today
Yes.
if, he lived that long. So, blessed memory to Leonard Howell.
Yes, and we have actually done a book.
Yes,
Edited by myself, Jalan, Naya, Michael, Barnett, and,
Leonard Howell and the Genesis of Rastafari. Yes. Next question. You have really delved into some of the things we have here now.
Yeah.
How might deeper Africa-Caribbean ties advance the cause of reparative justice? Because you're also a member of the National Reparation Council.
Yes.
So, how might deeper Africa-Caribbean ties advance the cause of reparative justice for people of African descent?
Well, the first thing, it allows us to know more about ourselves, both from the continent and from the diaspora. And that is very important in order to shape unity, right? The biggest weapon of colonialism and neocolonialism is division of the people who have been conquered and enslaved, right? And I have done a lot of study on that too, the ways in which division and the forms in which division took helped to cause people to actually sometimes to see the enslaver or the colonizer as more important than themselves.
Yes.
Right? And will more rally around them than around their own. Right? So unity and the classical example of the way in which to deal with this unity was certainly with Garvey and the creation of the UNIA. To struggle for the redemption and the sovereignty of Africa and African peoples around the world, right? But generally speaking, the division of colonized people, whether they're from Africa or Asia or South America, is the biggest weapon in the hands, even today, in biggest weapon in the hands of the colonizers and new colonizers, right? And they were very successful in it, so that they created an empire of lies, of falsehood, replete with narratives of such. And those narratives became the world that we live in and the world that they live in.
Yes.
Right? And so we are actually living in a world of falsehood, a world in which the persons who are worked and enslaved are regarded as lazy. Then and now. Right? And that is still in the minds of people and shape attitude and psychology. And in which the colonizers do things to people, and the things that they do to people, like in Jamaica, force Africans in Jamaica to consume human excrement.
Yes, I remember that.
Right?
Westmoreland.
It happened in Haiti as well.
Yes.
Right? There are several examples of this.
Diaries of Thomas Thistlewood.
Yes, right? Or in Kingston, during the same time in which it was described of Africans enslaved in Kingston, walking down to the wharf, Kingston Wharf, in the mornings with slops on their head, pails of slops
Wow.
on their head of their
Feces.
who, fleeces and urine of the people, white people who use them in the night.
Wow.
And they're walking down with these buckets of morning rituals,
Yeah.
right? So that so the people who destroy your economy, who destroy your society, then begin to say, "Oh, you're the." So when I speak of Haiti, for example, the press always remind us that Haiti is the poorest
In the Western Hemisphere.
country in the Western Hemisphere. What are they saying about Cuba now? They starved Cuba. They blockaded Cuba. And then I say, oh, you cannot rule. You're so incompetent.
You're weak.
You're weak because they destroy you. In fact, I mean, Marley said that, in one of his songs. They feel so strong to say we are weak. Right? They do. So we really have to understand this empire of ideas, of falsehood, that shape the way we live and the way people coming from the oppressor class or from poor people from that segment of the world to shape what we think and how we respond and reason today.
Yeah, and
I'm not talking about 100 years from now.
I know, it's true.
Ago. I'm talking about today. Today. And therefore, if white people are not free from white supremacy, and if black people are not free from white supremacy, we will continue this forever and ever. White people have to be freed from white supremacy, as we are
yes.
to be free from that.
You're right. It should be
that empire
should be on both sides.
Precisely.
So, what promising areas of collaboration you think Africa and the Caribbean can go into to reform our education and so forth to make better on our promise to ourselves as a people?
Yes. No, I think the PJ Patterson Center is very important to this, in the sense that the tools that are available to us today, which were not available to Marcus Garvey then, who achieved so much, we should use those tools. We should make those connections, visiting students, visiting scholars, visiting cultural figures from both sides.
Yes.
Right? From the diaspora to Africa, the diaspora to the diaspora.
Yes.
The way we utilize their experiences, their work, their philosophy, the way we need to understand the spiritual systems that we created and why we created those. We still don't understand the role, for example, of spirit possession and healing during the bad days of enslavement, right? And now sometimes today, even some of the best of some of our scholars hold prejudice.
Yes.
To those systems.
Yes.
Right? The voodoo, Obia, which we now have in court.
Obia, yes.
To repeal. Just imagine, we are in the 21st century, 60 odd years after independence in Jamaica. And we have black Jamaican faces and bodies continue to enact the Obia laws.
Yeah, laws that oppress our very own culture.
That was oppress our culture. The first Obia Act in Jamaica was passed in 1760 against those who who launched an insurrection against slavery, led by Taki. Right? That's the first move legally by the colonial states to restrict the people from their belief system. Right? So if they are able to do that to you, it's one of the ways of dividing you. Right? So if you think that you don't exist along with ancestry and ancestral ontologies and epistemologies, right? If you feel that that they have no meaning for now, right, or for then, if you won't be able to understand the resistance culture of our forebearers.
Yes.
So you need to understand it so you can assess the period in which they live, but you need to understand it so we are able to see how can we use some of that in the modern time to shape our own journey forward.
Yes, journey for freedom, liberation,
And
sovereignty.
sovereignty.
Yes, for sure,
Right?
for sure.
Right? In fact, the biggest, I would think, the most important expression of sovereignty is really residing in culture,
Yeah, yes,
in our culture,
yes.
right? The more we are able to strengthen ourselves and to speak for ourselves and our ancestors, to serve ourselves, the more we are able to do that is if we rely more on our cultural ethos.
Yes.
Right? That is a primary source of our sovereign landscape and expression. Right? Not to bow.
Yes.
We have to reside.
As,
Rely on that.
as Professor Rex Nuttaford would have said, that's part of the smodification.
Absolutely.
Yes. Civil society often drives change. What role do community organizations and grassroots groups play in advancing Afro-Caribbean cooperation and reparative justice and sovereignty today?
It's a critical role. It's a critical role in that, and it's a critical role in everything. It's a critical role that it should play in relation to monitoring and shaping education policies, right? It's important in shaping government policy, in monitoring and holding to account
Very, very. So,
our leaders,
yes.
whether the leaders are national, regional, or community-wide
Domestic.
based. It's important. It's central more than anything else in the development of our democratic credentials. Right? That decision making
Agreed.
needs to take place at the lowest level, and the lowest level need to be able to hold the higher level to account. Right? So it is very important. But it's also important to rally around these community in a number of ways. One, and which I've done, I've spoken in communities all across Jamaica.
I know you're an activist academic.
Right. So community education of itself
Yes.
and of its communities, of these communities.
Yes.
The education of communities is very important to strengthening not just the bonds of community, but the knowledge of community. And knowledge, as we say, is power. And knowledge is necessary to shape your agency.
Yes.
So we have so it's important to therefore do in the communities issues relating to reparation. And reparations cannot be separated from history.
Yes.
what happened in history, and why is it that is claimed.
Yeah, because
Right.
it's in it you find the justification for
Yes.
reparation.
Yes. But guess what? Our forebears were also struggling for reparation.
Yes.
But how much of us know that?
Not a lot,
Yeah.
because as you would know, reparation, it's only over the past decade that reparation has really become even a word that our people can call. Because I remember working with Professor Shepherd
Yeah.
more than 10 years ago, and we were telling people about reparations. They were mixing up with
Repatriation.
repatriation.
Which is a very important tradition too.
Yes.
I've done a lot of study. Yeah.
Yes.
So, but you see, we have been able. Reparation is no longer a word that people don't know.
Yes. That
I
is
have
good.
no idea.
It has become a part of our cultural lingua.
Yeah. In fact, it's like Professor Hilary Beckles
Yes.
actually stated that the struggle for our generation of this time for justice
Yes.
is the struggle for reparation.
Yes, it said it's the greatest political tide of the
Precisely.
21st century.
Right, precisely. And it's important, but it requires the education. And the education by way of text, by way of music, by way of drama. And all of these traditions that we have must be shaped by education in relation to reparation. Reparations issues are not 21st century issues. They have always been issues relating to our forebears who were brought, some 15 to 18 million of them, across the Atlantic. And then after that, towards the end of the 19th century, the same colonial powers then
Partition
took over
and partitioned Africa.
right? And that is how they have been living.
The Berlin Conference.
To tell us that, oh, you know what? We were the first ones to free you. In other words, you know, in one of his works, Eric Williams stated that if you read about British intellectual history, you would think that the British have created slavery solely for the purpose of abolishing it. Right? Because one of the main talking points of those in Europe, but particularly in Britain, who argued, and they have been arguing that from the abolition of slavery.
Yeah.
I can show you documents, right, about that. Was that, we free you from slavery. We were the first to do it,
Yes.
and so on. And the implication is
that was one of the main perspective
yes,
that I got from history when I was doing A-level history.
yes, right. In other words, so they are doing it also. The value of freedom and all of these things. These are European values.
Yes, that we bestowed on you.
Yes.
As our great gift to humanity.
Oh yes, yes. And then when you look at the ideas of them, of the same people, when they suppress the freedom sentiments and activities of colonized people in across the world, when they do that, they argued that colonized people, like say in Jamaica, for example, like with the Taki uprising, the Sam Sharp uprising,
Alexander Bedward,
and the Morant Bay. They when you read the speeches and writings of British scholars and politicians on these issues, then the argument was that black people were not struggling for freedom. They were struggling to exterminate white men in order to enslave white women for their sexual purposes.
Serious propaganda.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They are in many texts.
Yes, yes.
Then, that time, in their newspapers
Mm-hmm.
of the 19th century and 18th century. Right? And it never ceased.
Yes.
It never ceased.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so we should thank them for freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And sometimes some of us fall into that trap
Mm-hmm.
in terms of our focus and our articulation of freedom.
Yes, yes.
Right? So the text on the Asian Revolution was focused on European notion of freedom.
Mm-hmm. So this takes me to my second to last question.
Yeah.
Because we've been going a while now. Your research includes African-centered revolutions, such as the Haitian Revolution and the Martbay War, as academics now look at it. Or do you think knowledge of this type of history in particular can empower Pan-Africanism today and even the youth to lead the charge for global African-Caribbean cooperation and unity?
Yeah. So one of the things about that, it would tell you that we have had a long resistance tradition, a long cultural resistance, a long culture, a long period and traditions of resistance culturally, and that we have to learn a lot from those traditions to strengthen our own resolve, but at the same time to pay homage to our ancestors that in our journey in the 21st century cannot go along without ancestry. As as in the 19th century when Paul Vogel and his people organized against the British, they did not organize by themselves as living people.
Yeah.
They had oath-taking traditions, which were oath-taken by the living in the name and presence of ancestry.
Yes.
Right? And that is why the book on the Haitian the Morant Bay Uprising is called Marching with the Ancestral Spirits into War at Morant Bay.
Yes. Here's the book.
Right?
Very great book.
So it's very important to understand. I mean, one of the things coming out of Morant Bay, for example, in terms of political and philosophical notions, a slogan. I mean, color for color, skin for skin is one, right? Which is about unity and against division, right? The other one is liberty of person, liberty of land. That the people who are recently freed from enslavement are not really free if the land that they were enslaved on did not belong to them.
Yes.
Right? So freedom is liberty of person plus liberty of land. And land therefore denote capital.
Well, we learned in school that
Right?
the factors of production include land and human being and capital.
Yes.
So if the body is free,
Yes.
but you cannot have land and
Yes.
the necessary resources, you're not necessarily free.
Yes.
So
So tell us, if we look at the remaining quote unquote crown lands that remain, how are ordinary persons, how do they have access to this? And in fact, in a period in which we are seeing more and more people being disconnected from our beaches. I mean, this is the 21st century, you know, right? And therefore, my scholarship, my teaching is relevant only in the sense that my understanding of our forebears and their struggles, that there is no break, as you would hear in Catch a Fire. Every time I hear the crack of the whip,
blood runs cold.
I remember on the slave ship how they
brutalize our very soul.
Today, they say we are free, only to be chained to poverty.
Yes.
Eh? One of the sources of our most important traditions, philosophical tradition in Jamaica and the Caribbean, is the lyrical content and forms of music
Yes.
that we have created. Another one would be, for example, in the what we call parables. That tradition of proverbs.
Yeah.
There are a lot to learn so much philosophically
Yes.
in relation to freedom and creativity and all of those things.
I agree with you.
You know?
I'm getting the sign that we should wrap up.
Yes, yes.
As an artist, meaning a painter and a
Yes.
poet, plus a scholar, how do you imagine the state of Caribbean and African peoples in another 50 years?
It's two ways. I think things should be better, but we should not assume that because there's no linear path to development. As fallacious, it's more circular, right? So we should not assume that things would get better, but at the same time we should think that what we do here should create something that is better. In terms of the way we utilize art. We have seen the days of that. I mean, the tradition in Trinidad, in Kaiso, people like David Rudder, Sparrow and so on, visual artists. You have shadow and visual artists like Leroy Clark. Similarly in Cuba, right? Should we assume that Cuba, we should hope and we want Cuba, for example, to be much better than what it is now, right? Right. So one can assume that things will be better, and one can assume that there's a growth in consciousness to allow the flourishing of creativity and the creative arts for the purpose of our freedom and sovereignty, rooted in our traditions, and that the foundations that we lay now and that we have had before will help us to have a better place in a better world, right? Because we also see that the type of Colombian world that we have is crumbling, whether people like it or not.
Yes.
That Colombian world is crumbling, and I can't wait for it
To crumble.
to crumble.
That's a very good note on where we leave the conversation today. I want to thank you very much for joining us for another in the series of Africa-Caribbean conversations, where we were engaged in deep conversation with outstanding Professor Clinton Hutton. Thank you very much, and I want to encourage you to go to the PJ Patterson Institute for Africa-Caribbean Advocacy website, where we have lots of information, where we update, and you are informed on what we do on a weekly, daily, and the work we have been up to. And you can also watch this recording soon on the UTV and also the YouTube channel for the PJ Patterson Institute for Africa-Caribbean Advocacy. Until next time, thank you very much. Walk good.